Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is January the 25th, 2025. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Having a good Saturday so far. We got up, we went to the gym. Gym was good. Got some coffee after from Scooters. And here we are, podcasting. So, yeah, today's been solid. I love a Saturday where I don't have any like laundry, any random errands or anything like that. It's very nice. Let's see. Food corner from last night was Korean fried chicken with the white rice, the egg rolls. You know it. You love it. It was very good. Very spicy. Very yummy. Let's see here. There's really not much else to really report on the personal. Last night was very chill. I got to just relax and play some Marvel Rivals, which was felt good. It felt good, like it's one of those things where it takes me back being like, "Oh wow, remember when you used to just play games and like, just hang out?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do. I do remember that. It's a long time. It was a long time ago." But what's different now is that now I like want to watch like two or three different things at once still. So I got like the game going and I got like two other things going, but then like I gotta like I gotta calm with people and talk with people, which is surreal again. But like then I have to like have my things on mute. So we've changed a bit. There's little evolutions here and there in that regard, but overall it was a good little night in, which I appreciated. Let's see. Let's go ahead and do our startup and get into some news. Ooh wee. All right. First story comes from the BBC. Oh, excuse me. Israeli hostages released by Hamas in stable condition, hospital says. Four female hostages who were held by Hamas in Gaza have been returned to Israel. The four women the four women who are the second group of hostages released since the ceasefire deal was agreed are Israeli soldiers who were taken on October 7th, 2023. Israel has released 200 Palestinian prisoners in return, 70 of whom are expected to be deported. However, the Israeli government accuses Hamas of breaching the ceasefire deal by not releasing civilian hostage Arbel Yahud. In response, Israel has said displaced Palestinians will not yet be allowed to return to northern Gaza, and had been scheduled under the deal. As had been scheduled under the deal. I'm sorry. Meanwhile, Hamas says Arbel Yahud is alive and will be freed next week. So, in a way here, they're doing this weird tit for tat, which I feel like is completely fucking unnecessary, but so it fucking goes in the situation. Also, on another front for Israel, I've heard tell that Israel, like, they have the ceasefire deal with Hezbollah in Lebanon going on. And as that's supposed to be wrapping up, they're supposed to be like moving out of the area. And they're saying, no, we're not going to do that for blah, blah, blah reason. So, I mean, we'll see if they're really going to be talking tough, if this is a bluff or not. I know this is obviously a very fluid situation. So I'm sure there's going to be updates on both fronts in the near future. And I will be back to talk about that. So let's move on to some Trump confirmation picks. Obviously the biggest, wormiest, gross one got through, I would say, last night from ABC News. Hegseth sworn in as defense secretary after narrow Senate vote. Pete Hegseth was sworn in to lead the Department of Defense on Saturday after a narrow vote in the Senate. The vote on Friday night was initially 50-50, with Vice President J.D. Vance then casting the tie-breaking vote. Former GOP leader Mitch McConnell of Kentucky voted no. He joined Senators Susan Collins of Maine and Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, along with all the Democrats, in voting against Hegseth nomination. Now, I gotta say, in some regards, I was surprised that Mitch McConnell came over. In other ways, I'm not surprised at all of how this all unfolded. Mitch McConnell has kind of been a known thorn in Trump's side, back in his first term. So, he has these moderate red lines with Trump where he goes, oh, okay, I'm going to stand up and say something about this or that. And I guess this is like one of his, last hurrahs. Obviously he's not the whip or anything in charge or power right now, but he still, has his vote. And he kind of was indicating that he wasn't really for Hegseth. He didn't like him as a pick. So, he made his vote known. But in the test vote, he voted yes. So it's one of those things where it's like, so you guys are all kind of playing a bit of a game here, right? And I've seen Murkowski do it where she was like, yeah, I don't like him. Then the Hegseth kind of came to Congress, did the big push. People were, talking, saying, if you don't fucking vote for Hegseth, you're going to get primaried or da-da-da-da. So she started buttoning up. And I didn't hear much out of Susan Collins either. They weren't pleased with them. But the two of them did, at the end, towards the end of this shit, when we got close to the actual vote, said, hey, we're voting no. But to me, all that says is, you knew things were cemented. You knew that it's yeah, we get to more or less do our version of a protest vote here because we don't like this guy. We think he's gross. We're not a fan. We think he's inexperienced. All of this fucking shit, which I think most people would agree, I guess. But, unless you're a big Trumper or whatever, then you're like, no, Hegseth's our man. We don't care. He's got dusty boots. That's what we want. So I think they kind of just did this for show. Maybe their own little morals so they could sleep well at night, but whatever. So he's going to be in. He more or less is there's no more or less, he is. Which I think he was probably the prickliest vote, post of Matt Gaetz, leaving the conversation. So, I really think everyone else is just going to piss glide through, So, there is John Ratcliffe, who also got through, which I didn't feel like talking about. I think he's going to be leading the CIA or something to that effect, whatever. We talked about Rubio. And then there's another one. Yeah, John Ratcliffe is a CIA director. Kristi Noem. So we're moving on to the next story from ABC News. Kristi Noem confirmed as Secretary of Homeland Security. And I hope the name is familiar because I took time last year to stop and talk about her because I was like, wait. You're telling me you made a memoir in which in said memoir, you talk about fucking blowing out your fucking dog's face with a fucking shotgun or whatever because this makes you more patriotic because you know how to do the fucking right thing? You're using this as bona fides? You're bragging about it? That's crazy. It was just conservative maxing to the utmost. And it floored me that this was a thing that someone was actually going to make into a talking point about themselves. And it worked. She's been glazing Donald Trump for so long. She got her fucking way into a cabinet position that I would say she has no business in, just like Pete Hegseth. But once again, this is Trump 2.0. This isn't about, oh, I can lead the country and I like Trump. It is only about, I am loyal to Donald Trump. I will do whatever the fuck Donald Trump wants. I do what Donald Trump likes. I will do it preemptively for you. And these are the people that Donald Trump is making a way for, who is bumper sticking. I guess it's more or less how it's always been for him since he lost. Is hey, that's the reason I lost for real. Obviously, this was all rigged, but also I let foxes into my hen house, and that's my biggest mistake. And if I get back game, that's not gonna fucking happen again. And that's more or less what he's ensuring here with picks like this. But let's read a little bit real quick. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, the firebrand who gained a national spotlight during the coronavirus pandemic, was confirmed by the Senate on Saturday. The vote was 59-34. During her confirmation hearing, Noem said the southern border is not secure and she will help to fix it. So, she's going to be providing our security at the border, providing Secret Service security. She's going to be overseeing that. Agencies are going to be reporting to her in that regard. She's in charge of a lot in that way. She's supposed to be keeping us safe. more or less. And good luck, Christy. Good fucking luck. It just feels like a weird joke, man. But here we are. It is what it is. I try not to look at it as getting bleak. But I don't know. All I can do is really laugh. What can I say? We have one more thing I really wanted to cover. I don't want to stick on the weeds on this. Like I said, we've talked about Kristi Noem before. She's now in her position now. She's made it. And like I said, I think the rest of these cabinet people are going to just glide through. But we'll cover them as they get in, as they, like, whatever, man. Crazy world. Anyway, let's go ahead and take our last break, and we got to keep it Trump. It's just been it's a Trump week. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I cannot escape the Trump verse. It's just, I'm in the Imperial Court. It's to the left of me, it's to the right of me, it's to the front, it's to the back. So yeah, we got to talk about some firings. But let me fire something up real quick. Ooh-wee. All right. From CNN. Trump fires inspectors general from more than a dozen federal agencies. President Donald Trump fired the inspectors general from more than a dozen federal agencies in a Friday night purge, according to a Trump administration official, paving the way for him to install his own picks overseeing the agencies. The firings prompted concern from GOP senators, including Senate Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley, a known watchdog for attorneys general, or IGs, who said Congress wasn't given the 30 days notice from the White House required by federal law. Which, once again, I love these little moderate people who like to do the little squeaking and be like, hey, I just think it's a little strange that happened. I'm sure he has his reasons. We'll see. I'm sure we're going to get an explanation, blah, 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 blah. It's like, come on, dude. Isn't it just better for you to shut the fuck up in this situation? It's always funny to see a moderate conservative and like the juxtaposition that they have to do with someone who is like Donald Trump, who is like this alt-right, like self-serving fascist-ass motherfucker. And it's like they try to say, like, do this thing like they're preserving democracy here, but it's like, no, dude, you're gonna kowtow just like everyone fucking else. So what are you doing? Like, is it really even worth potentially risking your job? But speaking of people who are risking and losing their jobs, Trump has been on this tear, along with the deportation stuff. He's talked about canceling DEI, the diversity, equity, inclusion stuff. He's like, that shit's over with. It's done. I'm so fucking over this. Boo, yucky. And he has like canceled it in all government agencies. And essentially, if you're on that project, your shit's on ice. It's done. And ICE is getting more power. That's a whole other conversation. But essentially, you are on paid leave until we figure out what we're going to do with you. I've heard stories of people having to like say, hey, you're on leave, but we need all your information. Like, they're looking through your socials, all kinds of fucking shit. It's giving Inquisition, but like, it's giving McCarthyism, but like, once again, this is not surprising. Like, Trump has made it very clear what he wants to have happen. Like, he is getting his moment. This has been his week. And he is showing off. He is making sure he is paving the road for the next 4 years so that he has full control. And I mean, when we get to the end of it, what is it going to look like? I don't know. But that being said, I hope I'm here to yap about it. So that's more or less where I'll leave it. Like I said, I don't really have any more details on these inspector generals, the rah-rah, the guts and details. But it happened. And I'm sure there's going to be more stories like this to come. And, we'll yap about it as it happens. But yeah, that's where I'll leave it for today. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/IsaiahNews. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Oh, excuse me. Subscribe to the YouTube. That really helps out a lot. hit the like button, leave a comment. Sharing is caring. And I mean, feel free to do that on any platform. We love to see that. We love an active TikTok user. So thank you. I appreciate the people who listen on TikTok. I think that's really fucking cool. I know that this isn't your typical thing on TikTok to really consume, but I really appreciate people who stop by and say, hey, I'm gonna hang out and actually listen to this guy yap, blah, blah, blah. So, you're noticed, you're appreciated. Hearts in the chat. Hearts to you, dude. Anyway, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend, and hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.